So Brandy, talk about safe cannabis. What kind of regulation do we need and what determines safety?
That's an excellent question. I think that first off, it's important that we recognize that Michigan has the home grow, so that we're allowed to, as patients and caregivers, to be able to grow our own medicine. So that if you're growing your own medicine or your caregiver's growing your own medicine and you know your processes, you should not be mandated to go to the extra expense to have your medicine tested. But you absolutely should, if you'd like to, be able to, and it should be affordable. Patients would like to know the potency and know their terpene profiles and be sure that their cannabis is free of contaminants.
Let's talk about the power of hemp. From the farm field to finished goods. Learn all about it at the 2022 Midwest iHemp Expo, May 20th through 21st at the Lansing Center. Visit MidwestIHempExpo.com. See you there. Yeah, we are live on the iHemp Hour. My name is Dave Craybill. I'm with iHemp Michigan. iHemp Michigan's mission is to educate, inform, and promote the research, development, and cultivation of industrial hemp here in Michigan. And we're excited to be on the iHemp Hour at noon again today. And I'm joined by Mike Brennan of the Michigan Marijuana Report and mymarijuanareport.com. Blaine Bechtold, my partner in all the hemp activities with iHemp Michigan. And Blaine, would you introduce our special guest today?
No, it would be my pleasure to do that for sure, Dave. We made a new friend about a month and a half ago, and we're really glad that we did. Because of the recent changes that we've had to make here in Michigan, especially the regulation changes that came, for those who don't, we'll talk a little bit about that midway through the show here, where the MRA is now going to be the CRA, the Cannabis Regulatory Agency, and all hemp processors now are going to have to be included in that. But we'll talk more about that there. But because of that, we thought it was a great idea that we invite Americans for Safe Access to join us with the Expo this year. So we're really excited with the information and the education that they're going to be able to bring to everybody about that side of the cannabis plant, the use of it, the whole plant. So Brandy Zink is a cannabis activist and a medical cannabis patient advocate and an educator. She has served as a former executive director of both the Michigan Medical Marijuana Association and the Ohio Patient Action Network. She has worked closely with Americans for Safe Access, Students for Sensible Drug Policy, and other cannabis organizations since 2000. Today, Brandy continues to work to protect patients' rights through organizing the ASA Michigan chapter, politically active for a myriad of social justice issues. She has cultivated positive relationships with the community leaders, professional legislators, their staff, and other influential policymakers at all levels. So, Brandy, we want to welcome you to the iHemp Hour today. Certainly, we appreciate time taken out of your busy schedule that you have and sharing some information with us. So,
thank you so much. My pleasure to be here.
Good. Well, how about a little background? Let's let everybody know why and this is so important for you and why it's an important topic.
Medical cannabis is something that's been dear to me personally. I've been a patient. I had epilepsy as a child. I had a traumatic brain injury, and sometimes TBIs lead to more TBIs when you have falls and seizures and things. So I discovered cannabis as a youth, and connected that the epilepsy was being able to be managed better. My seizures were less frequent or went away completely, and I connected the two together. So I've been a patient since I was a very young girl, and it's been helpful to me. I came on this journey when I moved to Ohio and found out that there was a ballot initiative process, and I was asked to sign a petition. And I thought, wow, all we got to do is get some signatures and we can make cannabis available for patients and legalize industrial hemp. And I thought, wow, this sounds swell. All we got to do is get signatures. So I got involved with activists in Ohio, and we formed the Ohio Patient Network, where we educated, and we had a network of patients to find information. And we decided we needed to take it to the State House. So we did introduced a few medical marijuana bills and worked in the legislature. So when Michigan passed a law here, I needed to be able to be in a state after 10 years of working in Ohio, and not much progress on the legislature. I moved to Michigan, and I've lived here ever since the law passed in 2008. I've been a member of Americans for Safe Access since when they were 2002. So this is our 20th anniversary. Happy birthday to Americans for Safe Access. ASA has been a great inspiration to me in my life to be able to help me be a better advocate, not just for myself and speaking with my medical care providers, but also to be able to be an advocate and help others learn to be an advocate.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. And we all know, that the medical side of the cannabis plant has a lot more research to be done on it. Of course, a lot of people know about Charlotte's Web. Epidiolex is one of the other issues too that we've got that help out people. So certainly we know that the medical benefits are there for sure. So
Brandy, you moved from Ohio to Michigan because Michigan legalized. That was so Michigan's way ahead of Ohio, you're saying?
In 2008, Michigan voted by 63% to pass the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act, which allowed patients who were qualifying conditions and a bona fide doctor-patient relationship to get a card through the medical marijuana registry through the state of Michigan. And the act also provides for patients to be able to grow their own medicine or assign a caregiver, and a caregiver may care for up to 5 patients. So I moved here to Michigan to be a legal participant in this program and help others learn about the program so that they could get the help and relief that they need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that caregiver program's under attack right now with all the changes, it appears, right?
I think that Michigan is unique in that in 2008, we created our law based on the circumstances at the time and what would be politically feasible to achieve. So the act, which I participated with the Ohio Patient Network, we were a grantee from Marijuana Policy Project, who wrote the model bill that Michigan's law was based upon. So at the time, the DEA would raid dispensaries, and so that would shut off complete access for the patients. So Michigan, knowing that, we allowed the patient or the caregiver to be able to cultivate their own medicine, so that if the DEA would come into the state, they wouldn't be able to completely eliminate the access for patients.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of, we could overgrow.
Yeah, the Michigan Cannabis Manufacturing Association, which represents the very big players, for some reason, has decided to, they're lobbying intensively to change a lot of the caregiver rules, including caregivers limited to, I believe, 3 patients, and it's either 3 or 6 plants. Now it's 5 patients and 12 plants. I may be a little off on those numbers, but curtail it dramatically. And of course, what they want to do is pull that into their dispensaries, so you have to buy from them. So whether that goes through the legislature, what happens next, I don't know. But I know that they're behind that. And again, they're just trying to drive everybody into their provisioning centers. And, and unfortunately, all the rules that came out in 2008 that you moved to the state to enjoy, they may or may not change here pretty soon. We're not sure what's going to happen next.
You're right that there has been an attack on the caregiver and the home grow. It's not just happening in the legislature either. The local municipalities are doing everything they can in some areas that they're going to restrict or limit caregiver activities. So our Americans for Safe Access Michigan chapter has been doing what we can, and we need to build our army of boots on the ground patients and caregivers who show up at these local township meetings, and also speaking with your state representatives and senators. We have taken a while, I think, since the adult use passed, that maybe some of us felt that, adult use recreational marijuana being passed and it was legalized now, that the patient population would just assimilate into the adult use programs. But medical cannabis patients have unique and specific needs, and we shouldn't be lumped in together. So I also think that some of that reasoning is behind the wish to take away home cultivation, along with the big business who wants to make sure that we're only buying from them.
That's really the bottom line. The rest of it is, we cover this quite extensively too, and so we're pretty much aware of what's going on, and I'm not sure why, or actually I do know why, but it just seems counterproductive. I mean, because a lot of these are big multi-state operators coming in, and all that does is really just alienate people, and they won't buy from them. Now, there's a big boycott list right now because they're attacking the caregivers. Now, I'm not taking a position for or against. I'm really reporting the facts, and it's stirred up a hornet's nest right now.
Yeah.
Brandy, are you hearing reports from people having restricted or unable to get access for the safe access on the medical side?
Oh, yes, absolutely. That not all patients have equal access. That's part of something we consider when we think about social equity, that there are many barriers for patients to have access. Cost is a huge barrier, and this medical marijuana isn't covered by insurance. So that is a barrier for many patients. The costs also associated with the having to get your doctor's recommendation and the costs for the fee to the state, all those costs add up. Some of the local municipalities are even adding a fee or a permit or a license there, which would also add an additional costs. And if this Cannabis Safety Act, House Bill 5301, would be passed, and it would completely change, but that would force many patients to go to the dispensary. Dispensaries are expensive, and for some patients, they don't even have the ability to travel to a dispensary. There's no dispensary in their area. In the UP, if you live in the Upper Peninsula, your access is really mostly a handful of dispensaries, which are some of the dispensaries that are on the boycott list. That was, as I've seen, the boycott list. So certainly there are many barriers to that. Some patients are worried about their job. We don't have social protections necessarily. You can be at risk of, child custody, your home, your job. Those are issues too. So I want to mention that Americans for Safe Access has done an analysis since 2014 of all the states, and we have our State of the States report. Yeah. So we've kind of created a report card here for each of the states. And thank you for sharing the screen here. We have a different scoring system this year, so it kind of takes in a more comprehensive view of what access looks like. So there are several categories. You can get this on our website, is safeaccessnow.org, and the State of the States report. So you can see here that Michigan has received a C for our access to patients and the quality of our program.
And I thought we were a blue, so I thought we were an A. I was going to give us some kudos, but maybe I guess not, huh?
I don't see anybody being I don't see any A's anywhere.
None of the states received an A, and in part because in the scoring, if you looked at an A plus to an A, you'd have to 100% would be perfection. So at this point, we still, after 1996 is when California passed the first medical cannabis act, that we still don't have a perfect program, and ultimately that we need to change federal law. So there's a big step there, and this tool, if you will, is I encourage you to take a deep dive and look at this, so that if you're doing advocacy on the state, local, or federal level, you can point out the areas of where states are doing well and where states are failing.
Is there how do I open the PDF here? I know I saved it. Is this?
I would click on the map. It doesn't click on. So maybe go up, and there will be.
There's a link here, but I don't.
That's.
Oh.
It's a video.
This is a great video to watch that will explain it in depth, much better than I could. So if you want to find that on your own later.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Oops.
That's the one.
Aha, here we go.
Okay, this is last year's report.
Oh, it's last year's.
Whoops.
Yes. So I don't know if 2021.
Right
yes.
there, right there at the top.
Thank you.
Well, it still
pulled up
says 20.
Maybe the link is broken.
Ah,
I know that there is a better link somewhere.
Let me
okay.
see if I can. Sometimes this works.
Well,
Nope.
at any rate, the purpose of this State of the States report is really to point out the areas of where patients are still struggling for access and the barriers to access.
Yeah, I don't
And
think
then,
it doesn't look like it's there. They haven't posted it up in your file there.
I have it. Let me see if because I know I downloaded it, so I will pull it up. But yeah, it's overwhelming. It's a huge report.
they put a lot of work and time and energy into this, and we want to be able to have this report in the hands of every legislator, every township supervisor and trustee, every city council, your congresspeople, senators. We need it in every policymaker's hands. So if you are interested, your business is interested in being a sponsor to help us cover the costs for printing and getting these into the hands of legislators, we are going to put your banner and your logo and you'll get some sponsorship in the report. So I would go to the homepage.
Okay.
But yeah, so ACE's website, safeaccessnow.org. This is, we have so many different resources available for medical professionals, for legal advice, or for attorneys to find legal information, for patients to find legal information. The advocacy is chock full of how to be a medical cannabis advocate. We also have a policy shop where you can send, if there's a local ordinance, you can send it to our policy department and they can help you with your local chapter to work on that. I hope it works this time. State of the States report.
I think there's one that I need to look at. I saw one day it was going
it's the
through
same
aging
page.
and medical cannabis. I think I might need to look at that one. I was gonna say,
Look under news real quick, Dave. See what's under news.
Yeah, that's where I first looked.
I wonder if
that's
the
all I
link
got.
is broken. I know I've sent this report
Well, that's the
down
most.
lower where the purple where it says 2021 State of the States report analysis.
Well,
Yes.
this keeps us in a loop here.
It's a
All
site.
right.
Well,
Yeah, it's still the 2020. Yep.
we'll be sure to post the correct link. And I know that it's on the Michigan ASA chapter Facebook page.
Okay.
can you bring up how do we get to the Michigan one? That's what I wanted to talk about a little bit, Brandy, is how do people, I know I recently joined, so I can get all the information as well. And it's not very much. I think it was $30, but how do people join? How do people get involved with?
So you can go to the ASA page, join, and become a member, become a sponsor. There's different levels. So we want to make sure that everyone who would like to be a member is able to be a member. So we do have a compassionate membership, discounted membership. It's only $10. So that you can support and the level that you're able to. All of your support goes directly to being able to provide these reports and programming that ASA has and be able to keep your presence in the State House and on the Hill. Our ASA chapter in Michigan, we're all volunteer. So we do this because we love doing it and it needs to be done, but we want to empower everyone who wants to take this next step in advocacy. So this is how we have an annual conference, but since COVID, it's been virtual. The virtual conference is available on our website too. You can take time and watch that. But this is we on Capitol Hill, we lobby, and I'm proud to stand with this group of activists from all over the nation. And every year in Capitol Hill, I go and I knock on every congressperson from Michigan and meet with both senators. And am proud of the work that Michiganders have done, that Michigan congressional representation and sponsoring and co-sponsoring various medical marijuana bills. We usually have 12 out of the 15 that have signed on. So that's because of the work that constituents do. So keep up the good work and let's keep going, because federal policy needs to change
So do you think
for all our states.
you think we need to go to maybe they have a step or a process here, but are they looking at decriminalization? Are they looking at straight legalization? Do you know what ACE's plan is on that, what they'd like to see?
Well, ACE is patient focused. So we let the other, adult use and other advocacy, drug policy reform, we stand in as allies, but we want to be patient focused. So we look at everything through that lens. And there are several federal bills going right now. There's a couple bills that would benefit the veterans and research for veterans. There's a banking bill that would benefit the patients by the Safe Banking Act. That would benefit patients, tangentially, because it would allow businesses to be able to, safely conduct their business.
Yeah, where we don't need a certificate of analysis on frisbees. Yeah.
You don't smoke frisbees? I thought you did, so.
ASA has federal model legislation as well. We've been working on creating an Office of Medical Cannabis Control, which would take when marijuana would be descheduled and removed from the federal drug schedule and then placed under this Office of Medical Cannabis Control, which would be patient focused. And it would remove it from having cannabis has to be controlled by the NIDA, NIH, DEA, etc. So it would remove marijuana from being under those federal agencies and placed under this new Office of Medical Cannabis Control. And so there's information about that on the policy section of our website as well. There's also several federal actions that you can take. We have, if you go to the Take Action button, then there's a whole list where we're asking the Biden-Harris administration that there are several things that they can do to protect medical cannabis patients. You can send a letter to each of these federal agencies. We have for the housing, so that patients will not lose their housing, a letter to the VA to protect veterans. There's for federal employees to send a letter to the Department of Labor to protect patients from being drug tested or losing their jobs for their medical marijuana. So I think there's 13 different actions that you can take to send those letters. So I'm urging you to go there to the Take Action where you can do that.
So
I know there was a couple I read about, I can't remember exactly, sometime last year, that they were down in Kentucky, a Michigan couple. And I can't remember if it was CBD or marijuana they had in their luggage, and they got pulled over for a traffic stop, and the cop found whatever it was, and they had their young child with them, and the protective services immediately came in and took their child and said, "Oh, we can't have you be smoking marijuana," or whatever the case. Again, I don't have all the facts right pertinent, but she battled for months to get her child back. I mean, that's kind of a really bad example, but I mean, it's weird stuff happening out there.
I think we have some cases of that in Michigan too, I think.
Yeah, I think there's been a few issues with that. So overzealous bureaucrats, right? So
Brandy, talk about safe cannabis. What kind of regulation do we need, and what determines safety?
That's an excellent question. I think that first off, it's important that we recognize that Michigan has the home grow, so that we're allowed to, as patients and caregivers, to be able to grow our own medicine. So that if you're growing your own medicine or your caregiver's growing your own medicine, and your processes, you should not be mandated to go to the extra expense to have your medicine tested. but you absolutely should, if you'd like to be able to, and it should be affordable. Patients would like to know the potency and know their terpene profiles and be sure that their cannabis is free of contaminants. So that's why it's essential on the commercial level that we do have those provisions. And on the ACES scorecard for Michigan, we scored very well on many of those categories, but there are certain areas where we're not. So safe cannabis is tested for mold and for heavy metals and contaminants, with pesticides, et cetera. So, patients need to know that they're consuming something that's not going to harm them further. They're looking for healing from a medicinal plant. So there are standards that have been created for cannabis under the American Herbal Products Association, and they provide guidance on the standards for and safety for all plant medicines and substances or supplements. So, ginseng, echinacea, St. John's wort, chamomile, lavender, those plants all have a safety protocol, and they created one for cannabis based on those same guidelines. So it kind of makes sense to treat plant medicine like plant medicine.
Yeah.
So I
know about?
Go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry. I was going to ask you, how much do you know about terpenes?
I am not a terpene scientist, but I do understand that there is an entourage effect, and that we need to learn more about how the multiple chemicals that are in cannabis, and there's different cultivars of cannabis, so that some have a certain terpene profile where there's more limonene or pinene or the other cannabinoids and terpenes. So I'm not a scientist. I think that we all need to be educated, and I think that education needs to be available to the patients and consumers. And it'd also be great to see some of this more on the labeling.
Yeah.
Labeling is also part of safe medicine.
Yeah, this is, I had one of my varieties from last year. I had a terpene profile on it, and it's like, oh, that's cool, but what's it mean? So it's like, yeah, it's interesting because from everything I understand, the terpenes are critical to get the right benefit. So when you're looking for your medicine, how do you normally consume? Is it, because there's different markets, the regulation is changing based on, what type of product it is. You see some of that coming down the line, whether it's an edible or a gummy or a tincture or a flower.
Well, for myself, personally, I've had a caregiver for a very long time, and I like to prepare my own medicines at home. So if I make a simple oil and put the buds in the jar with the oil, hemp oil or olive oil, grapeseed oil, I've used different kinds of avocado oil and put it in the jar. I make very simple medicines for myself in that regard. But if I would purchase at a dispensary, I'd want to see labeling, and I know what works for me because I've have experience with that. But I think that many patients come to medical cannabis because they have a new condition. They weren't using cannabis before. I have 30-year experience with it. So I don't have the same, I have old school knowledge, and I'm learning that now that we have this new opportunity to learn more about the science, I'm extremely intrigued. But I think for patients who are new to this, this is absolutely critical. No one needs to develop a smoking habit if they didn't have one already, that there are better and more effective delivery methods. And depending on what your ailment is, you can customize. I have other, you get older, I have arthritis. I use topicals. For me, edibles are a scary thing, but for other people that is absolutely the best way for them to medicate. So there's no one size fits all, and that's what's really wonderful about this multi-purpose plant.
So you're doing a tincture, a drop under the tongue is typically?
I've done the glycerin and tinctures, as well as I do vaporize and smoke. When I say vaporize, the old school volcano machine, that I wish was more available because it's a safer way for patients who have lung issues,
Huh.
especially to medicate.
Well, I'm not familiar with that. So you use
It
the
heats the
oils you're
cannabis at
making,
a
you're
certain
burning those
temperature.
oils?
I'm sorry.
The oils that you make with your infusion, you're doing an infusion, right?
It's an infusion, yes, and you use your crock pot. I'm
Yeah.
not the chef or the cook, I'm very home ec here, but
So
it's
I'm
a
just
very
trying to
simple way for
understand,
me.
the whole process, because is there education out there on how people can do this themselves? So you're infusing in a crock pot, but then what do you do with that oil? I'm just curious.
Right. Well, for me, I have put it on my bread or rice or my food. I use it like I would a normal oil, or
Okay.
eat a salad or something. And I know that I just need a teaspoon for me, or the tincture, a few drops. If I need more active quick relief, then I will smoke or vaporize.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, if you ingest cannabis in the edible, it's processed in your body a different way, and takes a little longer, and the effect can be stronger for some people, and the effect lasts longer. Where if
Oh,
you
yeah.
inhale it's a quicker response time, but then you can titrate the dose a little easier, perhaps, if you're not having experienced with
Yeah, you don't
cannabis.
get broken as fast. Yeah. So, yeah, the edibles can be dangerous. Yeah. Yeah. And that's where the testing, I think, comes in, the affordable testing. Because now, have you been dealing with the same genetic for 30 years?
Well, yes and no. I don't necessarily need the same. I think that sometimes you can develop a tolerance to it, and I find that I also need it for different reasons. And so there's a few old school strains that I like. Durban. I don't like to call it poison, so I just call it Durban.
Okay.
Northern Lights. But there's so many, and that's one of the reasons too. Like, the name doesn't necessarily mean something, but knowing the terpene profile and the labeling, that would be there's a lot of dispensaries that are doing a very good job of marketing and educating what their products are. So I wish there was more education for what they call the bud tender when you go to the dispensary. And that's one of the things that ASA does have too, is some training for the different levels of the growing, cultivating, for manufacture, for laboratories, for retail. And that training is essential and important. This is a medical product, and patients should know if it's going to have certain side effects and interactions with other medicines. It's a learning curve too. You're not always going to know on your first try if it's going to work or not. It's a trial by error in many ways.
All right.
Doctors
Well,
and medical professionals need better training.
We have to take a quick break to thank our sponsors and do a little bit of news, but we'll come right back. Let's talk more about that training, and maybe talk about some recipes, because those are always fun. So let's take a break. For our sponsor is the Midwest iHemp Expo, which is May 20th and 21st at the Lansing Center in Lansing, Michigan. We're going to learn about the power of hemp and cannabis. I need to update that there. Becky, remind me. Because we're adding cannabis into the mix. And we do have a draft agenda. We're filling this out, and we're going to be updating this as we get confirmations and such. But we have a lot of content over 2 days available to you. We have, the Expo booth that's starting to fill up. The information on the lodging. If you go to MidwestIHempExpo.com, you can learn all about it. So with that, thank you, Midwest iHemp Expo, for sponsoring the iHemp Hour. Blaine, do you have a little bit of news to share today?
I do, but let's let Mike go first,
Okay.
if you'd like. I think he's got some great stuff to share with us, and then we'll come back to me.
He do. So one of the things I wanted to mention is on March 1st, we announced that we're partnered now with the Small Business Association of Michigan to be their sort of cannabis point of contact, in the sense of SBAM is just your basic business group where you get low cost insurance, and it's kind of like Costco, where you get products and things at a lower cost. All that you get the networking, you get the training, and so they decided that since the adult use cannabis market last year in Michigan was almost $2 billion, and they're predicting at least $3 billion or more this year. It's a big business. And so, and what boils it down is they're still a business. So they need lawyers, they need accountants, they need marketing, they need all that kinds of stuff. And that's what SBAM brings to the party in spades. They have 30,000 members. And so that'll also, in my eyes, the fact we discussed this on my show yesterday, sort of more legitimizes cannabis in the state, because SBAM is a very conservative organization. I mean, Brian Kelly, the former lieutenant governor, is the president. He's clearly a conservative kind of guy, but they understand that this is a heck of a growing business and they should be a part of it. And now we're a part of their effort to reach out to the cannabis sector. So that's kind of cool. Well, a couple other stories in there. Right now, we just got a report that marijuana prices hit an all-time low in January, which is, of course, great for retailers, great for customers, but not so great for the folks in the industry. There have been reports that an ounce of marijuana now is going for $150 at some places, and a gram for as low as $5. Now, that's spotty news. I don't think that's consistent with what's going on all over the market. But, as more and more cultivators come in and more players come in, because right now we're the number 2 state for marijuana sales in the country behind California. As more of that comes in, you're going to have the supply and demand. There's going to be lots of supply, but there's going to be a lot of demand, but prices are going to come down. And so this is probably going to be a big year for consolidation in the industry. There's going to be a lot of players that can't compete anymore if prices are that low, and they're going to have to sell out to other players. And so we're thinking that's going to happen probably later this year. The other thing I wanted to mention is on my show yesterday, we mentioned it. I mean, we did mention actually the Michigan Cannabis Manufacturing Association once again. They're going after what's still the Marijuana Regulatory Agency, but soon to be the Cannabis Regulatory Agency, because MRA wanted to allow micro businesses, which right now are essentially a vertical mom and pop store. They have to do everything in-house. They have to sell their own products. They can't sell anybody else's products. Well, now the MRA wants to open that up to let them sell other people's products. And the MCMA issued a blistering press release on Tuesday saying that was a really bad idea and that we have invested billions of dollars. But these are like mom and pop operations. They got like 50 plants, so they're a one store. I don't see them as being a big threat. So we explored that yesterday. We tried to get somebody from the MCMA on the show, but they declined. So we had attorney Scott Roberts talking about it. And finally, and I know this is big next week, on the show next week, we're going to have Andrew Brisboe, executive director of the MRA, is going to be on the show. And of course, what our angle will be, we'll talk to him about, okay, so now we got the Cannabis Business Regulatory Agency. So what exactly is that, and how does that all play out? And I believe you guys have them the next day on your show, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Yep, you get them Wednesday, we get them Tuesday. So
our focus clearly will be on the cannabis side, and yours is on the hemp side. But hopefully, between those two shows, we can figure out what the heck is this thing, and why are they doing it, and what's it going to do. And I mean, everybody's asking this question. No one's sure what's going to happen next. And I know you guys talked about it before. I know it's anything that's human consumptible would then go into the CRA. But then you guys, there's 20,000 other things you guys do that people don't put in their bodies. And so how does that play into it? Because the MDARD would no longer be controlling the consumptibles, but would control all the other stuff. And it's still no one exactly understands what's going on. So hopefully these two sessions, we can clear some of that up, right?
I hope so. Mike, why don't you plug how people can visit your podcast and your past podcast as well? Where do they go to for that?
Well, they go to Facebook, 420 Posts. We also post them to Michigan Marijuana Report, which is mimarijuanareport.com. We don't do the show live from there, but we do it live from Facebook. And as soon as the show is over, as you know, we post it to our website on demand because a lot of people just can't watch it live from 1 to 2 on a Wednesday afternoon because they're in the middle of work or something, right? So, and that's when I look at the stats, that's really where our audience is coming from on demand. So watch it at your leisure. It's available in multiple places. But yesterday was a really good show. And next week, I think we're going to have a lot of people watching next week's show. Because again, it gets back to what the heck is going on with the state and what does this mean to me? And no one can answer that question right now.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of indication, and we're trying to set up, have a meeting with the director. This all came, that's one of the things I was going to talk about in the news. This all came down through an executive order 2022-1. That would mean it's our first executive order of 2022. So it all came out on a news release. I'm sure there was some internal discussion, but I don't believe there was any discussion with the players, the people that are going to be actually affected by this, whether it be on the marijuana side or whether it be on the industrial hemp side. It's just an edict. Here it is. We're going to do it. It's going to it's going to be more efficient for the state. And so then it came out on, I believe, February 14th is when this press release came out. And then they said, oh, and by the way, we're going to have a hearing on Wednesday, the 16th at 9:30. And here's your chance to say anything. But it really doesn't matter because we're going ahead and doing this. Matter of fact, the executive order took effect immediately as soon as the Secretary of State signed it. I'm assuming by now that's been done. But so
I thought there was a 60-day lag or something before it actually goes into effect. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, it's like April 12th or something like that, or
that's the name
after
change.
that, you're saying.
Take 60
Okay.
days.
All right. Yeah, so I mean, you got to wonder when these things go down and nobody hears about it that's actually in the industry who's going to be impacted by what's happening. What's the backstory here? So we're still trying to figure that part out too. So
yeah, it is. We were able to put in, iHemp Michigan put in our comments regarding the situation. We certainly were displeased the way it came down, but we're hoping to again be able to help move as the regulation goes forward. Let's talk to the people, see how this is going to be affected, and have some say into that as we move forward. So
let's hope.
That was one of the big things I was going to talk about in the news. Some of the other big things is NOCO has had to move their location. So they were going to do the Crown Plaza Convention Center due to an ongoing government humanitarian program. I'm not sure if that's COVID or if it's refugees or what's going on, but anyways, they had to move it, and NOCO and Morris Beagle and the team there is pretty adept to doing things, and boom, they got it done. Mm-hmm. They're moving it to the Gaylord Rockies Resort and Convention Center.
Yeah, it looks really nice, the Gaylord.
Yeah, it does. I saw a picture of this, Dave, and I don't know. I don't think anybody's going to be doing the lazy river in March, but maybe. I don't know. It's kind of cold yet, But anyways, kudos to them for getting that done, getting it changed, and I hope safe travels for people who go out. Myself, I won't be able to make it out there at that time this year, unfortunately, but this is their 8th annual. So anyway, just want to let you know that they've changed that location if you're thinking about dropping in and seeing that. A couple other things. Dave, at the end of the show, do you get Facebook? Did you get Sergey's?
I have it up now if you want.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let's play it now. Let's do that now.
All right. Yeah. So Sergey, I'm going to kill his last name, Kovalenkov. Let me just tell you a quick story. At NOCO last year, Sergey really impressed me. He's from the Ukraine, and he was talking about hempcrete, and he gave the difference between living in a concrete home versus a hemp home, and how highly acidic concrete is and how unhealthy it is. And it really made an impression on me. I was, Sergey's been a leader in the hemp industry for a long time. He's in Kyiv. And this is...
Oh, boy.
let me share the audio, because I forgot to click the button when I shared to make sure that audio transfers over.
Dave, how many
sound? Here we go.
That's right.
You always got to remember that. Yeah, I would forget.
Hey guys, so another day, another sad video. If you look carefully, this is a residential building right behind me on the street where my office is at. So my office is right in the end of that street, and this is the road that I take to work. Sometimes, as you can see, there are bricks and all kinds of pieces of insulation, and oh my god, this is crazy. This is just absolutely crazy. So this is no accident. This is a war. This is a war against Ukrainian nation. So people, I just want you to wake up, share this video, and show to the rest of the world what's happening in the center of Europe.
Yeah, this was days ago that he posted this. It's a lot worse now, obviously.
So, our hearts and prayers go out to the people of Ukraine, and I'm not going to get into the political side of this, but here we know somebody personally that's been affected by this, and hopefully we'll have a resolve to this, and it'll be a good resolve. But anyways, so he wanted us to play that, let people know. Certainly, there's a lot of ways you can support this effort if you want to, and a lot of those are online. So. Let's see what else we got. Oh, there's also you can go to USDA, and I guess I missed this one back in January. They have a whole series of webinars that they're doing, and you can get back to the previous ones they've done.
I saw that.
Yeah, it started every Wednesday, and it started out January 26th with Jeff Kostruik talking about outdoor cultivation, and then there's a whole group of things. This week, let's see the second. So this next one will be March the 9th that they will be doing. And it's on extraction, chemistry, and facility design. So it sounds like a great one to have there. Again, these are they're from 2 to 3 on Wednesdays. And you can register. You're required to register. But then you can also get to these back ones too. So the back ones you've missed have been outdoor cultivation, indoor cultivation, hemp processing systems, and then of course the next one is extraction. So certainly some good information there, and it's free. You can do it while you're having your coffee in the morning. So Dave, you talked a little bit about the expo, so let me come back to that. On the 19th, and Brandy, we're going to come back to the training we're going to do. But on the 19th, we're going to have some training that we're going to be offering for people that are doing the extraction or need a third-party audit. Even some farmers might want to do this, because I think eventually, especially with this moving over to the CRA, there's going to be some regulations going to come down that you're going to need to be third-party audited. So we've arranged to do some training on that and learn how to have that process completed on your operation or your farm. That's going to be on Thursday the 19th, and we'll have information on that on the Expo site. So a great way to get some inexpensive, because normally these trainings are very expensive, up to the thousands of dollars, but we're going to be able to offer it at a pretty much reduced price from that. So it'll be just a one-day class that we'll do. Then Thursday night of the Expo, we're going to have a little meet and greet that we're going to have at the Radisson. And then of course, Friday night, we're going to have the Hempies. What a fun party to have. It's going to be for anybody that makes anything with industrial hemp product at this point, whether it be the gummies or the lotions or potions or drinks or the oil that I make or the putter that iHemp Manufacturing makes, or the frisbees. All that kind of stuff can be entered in. And just a fun little award ceremony we're going to have. I think Mike and I are going to be wearing Texas, right? That's the idea, Mike?
Sure, I can't wait to see you in a tux. So
I'll, you can dress up pretty nice sometimes. So
sometimes we clean up okay, So
and and by the way, Mike, I think we're square on the cigar. But,
yeah. Well, the boys in blue put a whacking on the boys in green there. So
what they did, I gotta take my hat off to them. Credit to them. So, but anyways, maybe we'll meet in another week here. We'll see what happens there. So, so that's going to be a fun event. We're going to have dinner. We're going to have some exhibitors over there that'll be over in that area as well, and then we'll have a little DJ music and a chance for everybody to once again get face to face and have some fun there. And then of course on Friday and Saturday, we'll have the speakers. There'll be a track that people can pay. We call it the All Access Pass. A lot of great speakers there. And then on Saturday, the event is free. Now, there'll still be the all access speakers that you'll have to have bought the ticket for, but we'll have some free speakers that'll be talking. And also, you'll be able to get into the Expo hall for free. So a great time for everybody to come out. It's in May. We'll probably have some good weather. I don't think we'll have snowstorms then, or ice storms like we had 2 years ago. But so we're looking forward to that. We're looking for all of you coming and enjoying and having a great time. Again, a whole great lineup of education we'll have for that for sure. Also, this is because we're coming into it, right, Mike? This is March Madness.
March Madness, indeed. Yes.
So we've got the same thing for the Expo. We're going to have reduced rates for the month of March for the Expo booths and also for the all access pass. And then again, a little benefit if you're an iHemp member as well. So we're looking forward to that. But now enough of the news there because we're running out of time. Let's get back to Brandy and talk about some things there. So Brandy, let's talk about some of the training that you're going to want to offer and have available to people that are going to come. And that'll be on Thursday as well.
Okay, yes, we're hoping to offer some continuing medical education credits for medical professionals. We're invited the Midwest Canna nurses to provide some training to medical professionals and also for patients and caregivers to learn about how to do dosing and get a better understanding of cannabis therapeutics. So we're hoping to offer that and then have some legal education as well, have some attorneys that will be able to give legal guidance on the different medical marijuana, the MTA, and then the hemp, and especially now that the hemp world and the cannabis world are going to be under the CRA, I know there's going to be a lot of legal questions about that.
Now, also, you're going to be offering some expungement education there as well?
Yes, we're trying to partner with several of the expungement groups, like the Great Lakes Expungement Network. There is the National Expungement Week. There's a few different groups that are doing this. So we're hoping to be able to have on all the days of the Expo, have opportunity for people to pre-schedule with the different organizations. So that information, of course, when we have it, will be uploaded on the websites so that you can, if you need an expungement, you'll be able to bring your paperwork or get an appointment to be able to get that process going for you.
Well, that's so important. We know that that this war on drugs has been quite a one-sided affair in many cases. So we're glad that we can get that information out and people can get that off their record. It certainly has held back a lot of people from moving forward with their life and their careers. So without a doubt. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful opportunity for life-changing, and grateful to the organizations that do this work every day.
So Brandy, what else would you like? Let's talk about, again, we want to make sure everybody knows how to get a hold of a Michigan ASA chapter and the national one. So let's talk about that, how people can become members and be part of your activation and your cause.
Thank you so much, Blaine. The Safe Access Now website, safeaccessnow.org, and you can go to the website and click join, and you select the proper fee that you're able to afford to pay, and sign up. You can sign up for free for information for the action alerts, and we have a newsletter that comes out every month. You can find us on Facebook as well, and we're MI Safe Access on Facebook, or Michigan Safe Access chapter. So we have group. So we have a Facebook group and a Facebook page, so you can get information there. And if you sign up to join, or you sign up for the email list, you will get emails periodically when there's an action alert coming. If we know that if you give us your zip code, then we'll be able to know your local municipalities and your representatives. So you'll be able to send a link directly to the legislators when there's a bill or something that's coming up. We have a monthly meeting on Facebook as well. So we talk about the monthly activities, and we're going to be participating in the Hemp Expo. I'm so excited to be part of iHemp Michigan, and we'll be participating in as many events as we feasibly can. The COVID pandemic has, really changed the way that we do things. So I'm grateful for the virtual opportunities, because I do feel that while we have been distant physically, we have been able to connect through this virtual world. And Michigan's a big state, so I'm very glad to see we've got our chapters growing. We have members, all the way up from Iron Mountain, down to Monroe, and all the way to Benton Harbor to Saginaw. We've got members everywhere, and I'm really proud of the work that Michigan does. So when you see that action alert, I know that Michiganders take action. So I'm hoping and making this plea that if you're not a member of ASA, please join, because your membership dollars really help us to continue the advocacy that we do. And you're part of a growing, we have 160,000 members in the United States. So Michigan's a very important state, and having a strong patient community, we won't be lost in the noise of all of the adult use. Medical cannabis patients have specific needs, and we deserve to have safe access. We deserve to have quality product, low price product, and we deserve the civil protections that we need. And we're still not there at a perfect medical cannabis program. So being engaged, working with your legislators, and also keeping in mind local municipalities need educated too. So we've got a lot of work to do. Just because we showed up at the ballot to pass adult use and hemp was a great part of the 2018. Medical patients should not be left behind.
Well, we are excited to partner with you, and so everybody knows that's one of the reasons why we chose to go with ASA and Brandy for the Expo, is because of the medical and therapeutic side that we know that the plant can provide. And so we're actually thankful to have you as part of this, and we look forward to that. So there will be a booth that you will have there at the Expo as well, so people can stop by there. We'll have sign up going on there. So, and we're looking for the great speakers that you're going to bring in on your side for people to be able to come and want to enjoy a couple of days of getting to know everybody. Because, folks, the visual stuff is nice, the virtual stuff is nice, but the magic happens when we're able to get together and do some face-to-face talk and face-to-face sit down. So that's one of the important part of Expos, that's for sure. So, Brandy, any last minute comments? Mike, anything you want to throw in there?
Nope, all set.
Okay.
I'm really excited and looking forward to learning more about industrial hemp and seeing all of the exhibitors. It's wonderful timing with the synergy of being put under, some of the same umbrella, that there has been a crossover. I feel that with the hemp and the CBD and the potentials for hemp nutrition and those things, that those things should have always kind of been included because they are medicinal. And, that the access for patients is it's the timing now that we need to be able to unite together as a movement, as an industry, so that we can find a synergy where we can make sure that this plant that is medicine for the people and the planet can be utilized and be available and in a good way.
Well, excellent. Well, Brandy, thank you again for taking the time, and we're looking forward to walking kind of hand in hand with you here as we move to the Expo. So people can come and meet Brandy in person. So I'm sure she'll be doing autographs, right, Brandy? So, Dave,
we can trade autographs.
No,
I think anyone who's an advocate is a rock star, and it really takes us all. We're all a part of this beautiful movement together.
Excellent. I have the recipe queued up.
Okay, all right, yeah. Well, Brandy, and this wasn't planned, I know, but Brandy, what a great way to lead into it, because one of the things that's come out lately that Pepsi's done, there we go, is the Rockstar Unplugged. Yeah, I really like this product, and we're going to have this available for sure at the Expo. But I also went to my local store. It was a Harding store, is what it was, and they are now carrying this product. There wasn't much there, so. Get it and try it if you like it. It's really good.
I can't see the front of it.
Can't see the front of it?
There you go.
Is that better? It's backwards, but that's all right, probably. But anyways, this one has to be raspberry cucumber, but they have blueberry and passion fruit is the other one they have. So, all right. So hold on. Here we go. We got it. This is why everybody really watches the show, Brandy, just so you know. Right there. This is why. Yep. So today we have, we're going to call them wild game meatballs. Really simple recipe to do. And this is kind of one that I've kind of developed. So I'll kind of take, I did take a Chef Ryan license kind of from him, but I've added a twist to it a little bit. So basically you just get some the spices and the cloves, the garlic, and your meat together. Now I use a combination of venison and regular ground beef as well. And actually in this one, you do want a little bit of flavor. So you might want to go with the 2080. So you get a little of that kind of fat and it sticks together a little better. When I have my venison processed, I don't have them add any fat to it. So it's very, very lean. So if you don't want the fat, just leave out the other regular ground beef.
It's like you have parsley and basil and something else you're throwing in there along with the garlic.
Yep. 4 cloves of garlic, half a cup of grated Parmesan cheese, 3/4 cup of breadcrumbs, 1 egg, beaten and not stirred, 2 tablespoons each of dried oregano, basil, and parsley, and salt and pepper to taste. And then there's also a little bit of recipe for sauce on there because, you can use the meatballs in anything, right? You can use it for spaghetti or just on their own or whatever. So there's the egg. Yep. So
is this panko that you're putting in there too?
That's the breadcrumbs.
Breadcrumbs. Okay. All right.
Double the recipe.
Yeah. And we kind of doubled the recipe here, and you can always make them and freeze them, which is what we've done here to do that.
No hemp parts? No hemp parts?
I didn't get to that. Yep.
Oh, okay. All
Good
right.
catch, Mike. Yep. Yep. And I always throw hemp parts in everything. So
Oh, okay. I had me
that's what-
worried there for a second,
that's what we've used on this. Absolutely. And now again, unfortunately, we haven't figured out how to do taste and smell vision yet, but we're working on that. But you got the screen up, don't you, still, Dave, right?
Yeah, here, hold on.
There we
There's
go,
the
there we go.
finished
That's-
product, and then
That's
I'll
what it
stop
looks
sharing
like.
out.
in the end. Yep. You put these in the oven and you bake them.
Here's how they come out.
375.
Ooh, look at that.
Yep.
Go ahead and hold-
Yummy. I'm coming
hold
over
yours
for
up when,
dinner.
And this is what they kind of look like when you're done with them. You can see the hemp parts in there, Mike.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's the hemp parts in there. So not only are they good for you, they're wonderful for you, but they're also great for you with the hemp parts for sure. So
Now, Brandy, couldn't he also put some of that oil in with that? That would work in that recipe, wouldn't it?
Or sure, put it on top of the noodles,
Oh.
or your pasta,
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah,
So you're
because then
learning.
you can control, individual plates.
Dosage. There we go. So you just
Yeah,
put it
little
on
bit.
your
Yeah.
serving.
Drizzle.
Yep.
And a caffeinated or uncaffeinated, right? There we go on that. Again, I want to thank Mike Brennan for taking time out of his busy schedule as well to help us do the show here.
The hardest working guy in cannabis that I know.
That's it. Yeah, in show business or whatever. But,
We want to thank Brandy Zink for taking the time out of her and helping us understand what ASA is about. Again, you know how to get to her site to be able, if you want to be a member. And then obviously they'll be talking at the expo as well. So we look forward to everybody coming for that. My partner, Dave Crable, who does an awesome job. He is the wizard, as I refer to him as. I want to thank everybody for coming and watching the show. And next week, again, Mike gets them first on Wednesday. But Andrew Bisbo, the executive director of the MRA going to CRA, will be on the show on Thursday. So what we're asking for, if you have time between now and then, send in any questions you may have to iHemp Michigan, and we will make sure that we get them on there. We've got a whole list that we're going to go through. And I think as we move forward, we'll have a seat at the table, so to speak, to help direct how this comes out and how it affects everybody. So again, a lot of change is going to happen, a lot more regulation. That's just the way it's going to be, but we will walk everybody through it as we have. We started this whole process, helping everybody learn how to grow and process the product. So thank you very much.
All right.
All right. See you next
See you
week.
next week. Peace and love.
Thank you.